Poetry, talking about poetry, but maybe sharing prompts. And of course, if you're here live, I hope you'll network with one another. That always makes me super happy. And if you like this video, that also makes me really, really happy. It's been quite a busy day around here. Quite a busy day. So I'm thrilled to be here. I'm in my library. It's actually not my library. It's a true background, but it's the home where I am pet sitting and house sitting. So I love this setting. You may see it for a while in the other videos as well. So we're going to start today with Mary Oliver. Um, you will see this on a video I'm making about today. I'm doing a little bit of a health vlog since I went to the doctor today. And I made this morning and some other little pieces of art when I was waiting to go to the doctor's office because it gets kind of nerve-wracking before we go to see the doctor. And we have Catherine is here, and Ninja's here, and Teacher Kelly Tag is here. I'm so glad to see the three of you. There's more people here. If you'd like to make a comment to let us know that you're in the house, that'd be awesome. But we'll start with this poem by Mary Oliver. Um, and a really easy prompt for this poem is called I Will Try. The poem is titled I Will Try. So that might be a good prompt to start for if you were to just write the word I will try and then just write a list of things that you will try, that you will want to do, that you will hey there, Vicky, that you would like to try out. So here we go. I will try. I will step from the house to see what I see and hear, and I will praise it. I did not come into this world to be comforted. I came, like Redbird, to sing. But I'm not Redbird, with his head mop of flame and the red triangle of his mouth full of tongue and whistles, but a woman whose love has vanished, who thinks now too much of roots and the dark places where everything is simply holding on. But this too, I believe, is a place where God is keeping watch until we rise and step forth again. And, but wait, be still, listen. Is it Redbird? Or something inside myself singing. Redbird, yes. What do you see? I love that. Is it something inside me singing? Now, that's another good prompt. If something was inside of you singing, what song would it sing? Mary Oliver is such a great poet. Hi, Em. So good to see you. So, if there was a song inside of you, what would the song be singing? What would it be saying? What might it sound like? Yeah, listen. Those sensory prompts, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you taste? How do you feel? Like right now, I'm feeling a little bit overheated, which is common. It's summer. It is very humid here in Maryland. So, anyway, it's good to see you all. I thought that was a good kickoff with our friend Mary Oliver. She's so well known and so very much loved. Um, I thought I had more books. I do have some more in the car. We're going to take these three books that I have. This is an Optimism by Cameron Awkward Rich. This is a new collection to me. And I found this first poem is the first, I read through a number of them at the beginning, and I just chose this one to read a few days ago. So we'll see what the 3 days ago me was saying we ought to read. Okay, hang on a second. I'm making sure it's okay. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna read that one. I'll have to do more curation on that collection. So instead, that happens sometimes. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Catherine. I'm not sure what they said, but I appreciate that. We'll go back to Billy Collins because Billy Collins is one of the best-selling poets of the 20th century. Do you know him, Vicky? He is another truly amazing poet. And here's a poem called The Trouble with Poetry. By the way, if you have a second to like this video, I would appreciate that. Okay. For you Floridians, you may like this. Okay, here we go. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, he's amazing. He's a former poet laureate of the United States. The trouble with poetry, I realized as I walked along a beach one night, cold Florida sand under my bare feet, a show of stars in the sky. The trouble with poetry is that it encourages the writing of more poetry, more guppies crowding the fish tank, more baby rabbits hopping out of their mothers into the dewy grass. And how will it ever end? Unless the day finally arrives when we have compared everything in the world to everything else in the world, and there is nothing left to do but quietly close our notebooks and sit with our hands folded on our desks. Poetry fills me with joy, and I rise like a feather in the wind. Poetry fills me with sorrow, and I sink like a chain flung from a bridge. But mostly, poetry fills me with the urge to write more poetry, to sit in the dark and wait for a little flame to appear at the tip of my pencil. And along with that, the longing to steal, to break into the poems of others with a flashlight and a ski mask. And what an unmerry band of thieves we are! Cut purses, common shoplifters, I thought to myself as a cold wave swirled around my feet. And the lighthouse moved its megaphone over the sea, which is an image I stole directly from Lawrence Ferlinghetti, to be perfectly honest for a moment. The bicycling poet of San Francisco, whose little amusement park of a book I carried in the side pocket of my uniform up and down the treacherous halls of high school. Hmm. Billy Collins swiping a bit from Lawrence Ferlinghetti, who's famous to me for his bookstore, City Lights in San Francisco, which is well known for its amazing poetry room, a room designated especially for poetry. And the first time that I visited the poetry room inside City Lights, I looked out the window and it's in San Francisco. It's in what's it called? North, a part of San Francisco with North in the time, North Beach. At North Beach. And I was looking out the window and it was just such a beautiful urban scene out the window. So anyway, amazing. The bicycling poet of San Francisco, Lawrence Ferlinghetti. All right. How we work around here too with the poems, if you hear a line that you particularly like, you are welcome to write it into the chat. That always makes me happy to see what you're enjoying about the poems that we're sharing. So this poem is called The Flying Notebook. Now, some of us writers love our notebooks. In fact, this notebook, nice spiral. It's a heavy one because that's an art journal more than just a spiral notebook. So here we go. The Flying Notebook. With its spiraling metal body and white pages for wings, my notebook flies over my bed while I sleep. A bird full of quotations and tiny images who loves the night's dark rooms, glad now to be free of my scrutiny with my pen point. Tomorrow it will go with me into the streets where I may stop to look at my reflection in a store window. And later I may break a piece of bread at a corner table in a restaurant, then scribble something down. But tonight it flies around me in circles, sailing through a column of moonlight, then beating its paper wings even more, once swooping so low as to ripple the surface of a lake in a dream in which I happen to be drowning. Whew, I love that. That is like the perfect poem for poets and writers. And that might be why I love Billy Collins so much. He's also a professor, and I would have loved to be in one of his poetry classes, although I imagine he would be very challenging to his students. But I love that in a dream, and I love the light. Tonight it flies, the notebook. Tonight it flies around me in circles, sailing through a column of moonlight, then beating its paper wings even more. Once. swooping so low as to ripple the surface of a lake in a dream in which I happen to be drowning. So our notebooks can save us, we poetry types, when we are drowning. Here he writes about taking a drawing class, which I find fascinating to think of Billy Collins taking a drawing class. And it makes me think of you. And I wonder if you have taken classes after, just for fun. I love taking classes just for fun. In fact, I do that. Even when I was in school, I took classes that were mostly for discovery and joy. Um, I'm thinking about, in fact, my second 2 years in undergrad, I had so much joy from the classes that I took. Um, really, really gained so much from them. Yes, I'm with you on that, Vicky. Vicky says, too many ideas floating in my head and not able to keep them unless writing them down. And Vicky, I'm sure you know about this, but the actual act of writing with paper and pencil or pen on paper, it helps your brain. It helps your brain to work better. And studies have come out that the writing on a piece of paper is more effective than the typing on a keyboard, which I find fascinating. I've always been quite the typist. And I remember as a child, the typing actually helped me to memorize as well. But typing on an old, what's the word? Standard typewriter, not electric, took a lot of finger force. And people today, when they tried to work a, a typewriter that's not electric, I used one in a play, and I loaned one of my collection. I have a collection of typewriters, and my friend said these keys are so hard. It's so hard to make these keys, and I'm like, that's because it's a standard typewriter. Of course, it's going to be more difficult, but we don't realize that. I wish I could remember the name. Because back in the old days, when you were when typewriters were for sale, they would say electric or manual typewriters. You like typing better, Kelly? I actually, as I'm old, we might have put some old stuff in here, but I actually train my brain to remember. I will tell my brain, like we're going to go shopping, me and my brain are going shopping, and I will repeat my list in my head to practice memorization. Okay, very good. So Vicky is like me. She carries a small notebook to write down your ideas. Good idea. And who else carried an idea journal was Leonardo da Vinci. So after tonight, if you play a trivia game, you can say, Julie told me that. So, all right, let's see what else Billy has to say. He's really funny. Catherine, you can't read your own writing. In my writing classes, I sometimes have people say that. They say, I need to type because I can't read my writing. I cannot always read my writing, but then when I am writing on purpose like this that I wrote today, this is the Mary Oliver poem, which you will see in a short. It has a special place in a short that's coming up. I write more clearly, although in the third line there's already an error. I didn't notice the error when I was getting started. I mean, when I first wrote it, but there's a homonym in there. So in other words, I wrote the wrong version of a word. If you're remembering from school, homonym is when two words are spelled differently, sound the same, have two different meanings. Catherine, you're too impatient to write pretty anymore? Okay, here we go. You're so funny. Okay, here we go. This is called The Drive because we all know Julie loves to drive. So this is pretty selfish. Billy Collins writes, there were four of us in the car early that summer evening, short hopping from one place to another, thrown together by light toss of circumstance. I was in the back seat directly behind the driver who was talking about one thing and another while his wife smiled quietly at the windshield. I was happy to be paying attention to the rows of tall hedges and the gravel driveways we were passing, and then the yellow signs on the roadside stores. It was only when he began to belittle you that I found myself shifting my focus to the back of his head, a head that was large and expansively bald. As he continued talking and the car continued along the highway, I began to divide his head into sections by means of dotted lines, the kind you see on the diagram of a steer. Only here, I was not interested in short loin, rump, shank, or sirloin tip, but curious about what region of his cranium housed the hard nugget of his malice. Tom, my friend, you would have enjoyed the sight. The car turning this way and that, the sunlight low in the trees, the man going on about your many failings, and me sitting quietly behind him, wearing my white butcher's apron and my small regulation butcher's hat. Wow. Do not sit behind Billy Collins if you're going to belittle anyone. Belittling Tom. I wonder who Tom was. There's so many questions in this poem. One thing that I really loved is how he talks about his head. And then he talks about dividing his head into sections by means of dotted lines. He uses very specific language, which is the height of a poet's craft. And the parts, not short line, not trump, shank, sirloin tip. And I love the hard nugget of malice. The hard nugget of malice. All right. There's a word here I can't pronounce, or else I'd read it. Because Virginia Woolf is in this poem, Cassiopeia and Orion, but I don't know how to pronounce one of the words. I will have to look it up and read it again. I'm going to mark the page. This is for um, a retired nurse's humor. That's good. That's good. Okay, the order of the day is about rain, and I know that some of you, Ninj and Rosani, if she pops in, have been experiencing a lot of rain. So has CL. So here we go. The order of the day. A morning after a week of rain, and the sun shot down through the let me start again. A morning after a week of rain, and the sun shot down through the branches into the tall, bare windows. The brindled cat rolled over on his back, and I could hear you in the kitchen, grinding coffee beans into a powder. Everything seemed especially vivid because I knew we were all going to die. First the cat, then you, then me. Then somehow later the liquefied sun was the order I was envisioning. But then again, you never really know. The cat had a fiercely healthy look, his coat so bristling and electric. I wondered what you had been feeding him, and what you had been feeding me, as I turned a corner and beheld you there on the sunny deck, lost in exercise, running in place, knees lifted high, skin glistening, and that toothy, immortal looking smile of yours. Well, 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 Billy. Another poem called Reaper. Death, death, death. All right. Are you ready for another poetry instruction manual? I hope so. Hey, look at that. CL popped in as if I conjured you because I said, CL, raining. That poem started with rain. So good to see you. It's good to see you, CL. Okay, we're going to read a poem called The Student. And by the way, if you didn't know, this live stream lasts for about 30 minutes. I don't like to go over 30, mostly because I lose steam. And sometimes I stay a few minutes over because YouTube has an uncanny way of sending people over here right as the half hour mark comes along. So It's still raining. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, a lot of rain. Um, so we're going to go for about another 10 minutes. I'll just keep reading poems. Remember that if you like a particular line, you can say so. I'm enjoying Vicky's giggling and things because there's some funniness. We're going to keep reading Billy Collins and then go on to Joy Harjo. And you please talk amongst yourselves. I love that too. Um, Also, next week, we're going to start journaling at 8 o'clock at night for an hour, Monday through Friday. I will be sharing writing prompts and we'll be writing together. I haven't tried anything like this before on Facebook. I mean, I did on Facebook, but never on YouTube to this extent. So if you would like to join us, that would be great. You can come for one night, for all 5 nights. The method that I'm using is something that I used before, and I called it the 5 for 5 brain dump method because it's stream of consciousness writing 5 days in a row. And each of the prompts will give you 5 minutes to write. So you write with stream of consciousness for 5 minutes, no thinking, no editing, just letting your pencil or pen or fingers in the board float. Just let it float. Just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And what people have found over and over again, that there's incredible freedom. And because there's incredible freedom in the writing, there's also incredible insights. So I wanted to let you know that. Oh, Vicky says she loves the rain. She lives 1 hour north of Seattle. You live in the green. Yes, I bet you do. I have a couple friends actually who live in the islands outside of Seattle. I'm trying to think what island. Whidbey Island? They might live in Whidbey, they might live someplace else. But Seattle is absolutely beautiful. I love it there. Also, very, very active poetry community in Seattle. So, my grandmother was raised in Bellingham, Washington, if you know Bellingham. I really wanted to go there several years ago, but I never made it. So, hopefully, I will still have a chance to go back there. It's absolutely beautiful. Catherine's saying, Vicky, it's so pretty up there. Her sister and her husband lived in Renton a couple years, many, many years ago. Vicky said, lots of islands around here. Yes, there are. And Vicky again says, yes. Yes, there are many, many islands. I'm trying to think where my friend, when I visited my friend in 2015, we went to um one of the closer in I can't remember. If the island's name was said aloud, but it's really not that important. And then there's, of course, is the island where the book The Egg and I was written. So we're going to read a poem called The Student. If any of these lines call out to you, I'd love for you to put them in the comments. Catherine says, we got to go up and see them and go to Victoria Island. Oh, very fun to see the Bush Art Gardens. Lovely memories. You know, it's funny because on the one of those islands that we went to, there were also a really pretty garden. And we were there for Thanksgiving weekend in we didn't go to Victoria Island. This was in one of those Washington islands. And I remember that we got some really cool Christmas pictures while we were there. My son Samuel had planned to go to University of Washington for like his entire high school career. It was all UW, UW, UW. And then his senior year, he decided no, he wanted to go to UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, which is where he went and graduated from. So I was kind of disappointed. But anyway, The Student by Billy Collins. Please continue to chat and write down your thoughts, like this video. All of those things are amazing. Oh, I've never heard of Butch Arts. I'll have to check that place out, y'all. Okay, The Student. My poetry instruction book, which I bought at an outdoor stall along the river, contains many rules about what to avoid and what to follow. More than two people in a poem is a crowd, is one. Mention what clothes you are wearing as you compose, is another. Avoid the word vortex, the word velvety, the word cicada. When at loss for an ending, have some brown red hens standing in the rain. Never admit that you revise, and always keep your poem in one season. I try to be mindful, but in these last days of summer, whenever I look up from my page, and see a burn mark of yellow leaves, I think of the icy winds that will soon be knifing through my jacket. Did you see how he modeled making mistakes? So UW is highly rated for its medical sciences. Oh yes, as a nurse, you would know such things. Yes, that's excellent. And Catherine almost cried when she left that beautiful garden. Oh, you've never seen such a beautiful place. That's amazing. I definitely need to check it out. I've been taking in numerous botanical gardens this summer. Um, are there any words you do not like to read? I'll ask you that question because he mentions words you're not supposed to say in poems. Like then he says them. You're not supposed to say vortex. You're not supposed to say velvety. You're not supposed to say cicada. One of the words that I don't like to hear in poems is kaleidoscope and periscope, because for whatever reason, people like to talk about kaleidoscopes. I think because of all the colors. And the other one is periscope, because people like the thought of looking up a periscope. For some reason, they think that imagery is really fresh and new, except when a lot of people are throwing in periscope and kaleidoscope, it's no longer so fresh and new. And when you go to a lot of poetry events and you hear poems read aloud, and that's how poetry is really read, is to be read aloud. Okay. You should check out the one near the Capitol. I'm thinking of doing that. I'm actually thinking, and this might sound crazy to you, those of you in the DMV. I've been thinking about just taking the metro into DC and not really even having a plan, just getting out at one of the stations and seeing where it takes me, which is kind of a crazy idea. But I could get out near the botanical gardens because last time when I visited, the last time I actually was in that part of DC where the botanical gardens are, I took one of those hop on, hop off bus tours. Maybe I'll do that actually while I'm here. Um, because then you can go to all these different spots. So you get on the bus, you ride along, you get off, you look around, you get back on. I think it's a fabulous way to see a lot of different things. But I remember looking out the window and seeing the botanical gardens, and I was with Samuel, and he was not into. That was in Samuel's. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm with my mother traveling around and no one else is with us phase. Now you'd be happy to have me taking him to places, but back then, he was a boy in that boy stage. So okay. When I was there that day, I got an amazing shot of the Capitol, an amazing photo of the Capitol. It was very dark. There were amazing clouds. It was absolutely beautiful. But I also don't want to be near the Capitol. I don't want to be in DC, like right around the 4th of July, which is, I will be here during that time. So it's really pretty crowded. Okay, we have about 2 more minutes. I'm so glad to have you all still here. Those of you who are here, thank you so much. Um, okay. I'm going to read from Joy Harjo because, yeah, let's see what I can read from here. Okay. I'm trying to pick out a poem I think you'll all like. Yeah, don't do that. Don't go down there around the 4th of July, or just don't go down there in general. I'll be seeing you so soon. I'm so excited. Okay. The one time when Emma was doing a journalism program, and it was a DC event, but she was in Northern Virginia. Oh, yeah, no, not on the 4th. No, no, no. Um, and so we were in a hotel in Northern Virginia. I went with her. She had roommates and stuff, but I went with her because it made me feel better to know that I was there in case she had issues, because Emma sometimes does. And so one night I did exactly that. I took the metro into DC and I went to DuPont Circle. And I just like hung out. I walked around. I ended up listening to bands play. I had a great time. It was like no plan, no agenda, just seeing what DC had to offer me that night. And it was actually the first time I'd wandered around DC by myself, because in the past I've always gone to DC with other people. And so there's always been a set plan. The other thought that I might have in DC itself is one of my friends wants to take me to the National Cathedral, which I would probably really enjoy. And there's also a YouTuber named Sandy Q, who does architectural tours in DC, live streams, architectural live streams in DC. She's amazing. I believe she's a historian, maybe an art historian, but she just does these amazing walks and just looks at all. She was doing fountains a week ago. Not sure what she's up to now, but she invited me to come along. I just need to look at her schedule. Okay, I'm glad you're still here. Okay. So we started with Redbird. Redbird, Redbird, what do you see? This poem by Joy Harjo, remember, she's a former poet laureate also, like Billy Collins. And I just love her. She wrote a poem called Redbird Love, and this will be our last poem of the day. We watched her grow up. She was the urgent chirper, fledgling flyer, and when spring rolled out its green, she'd grown into the most noticeable bird girl, long legged and just the right amount of blush tipping her wings, crest, and tail, and she knew it in the bird parade. We watched her strut. She owned her stuff. The males perked their armor, greased their wings, and fly skyloop missions to show off for her. In the end, there was only one. There's that one you circle back to for home. This morning, the young couple scavenged seeds on the patio. She is thickening with eggs. Their minds are busy with sticks the perfect size, tufts of fluff like dandelion, and other pieces of soft. He steps aside for her so she can eat. Then we watch him fill his beak, walk tenderly to her, and kiss her with seed. The sacred world lifts up its head to notice. We are double, triple blessed. Oh, I love that. We are double, triple blessed. I have never read a poem about bird love. And I have to say, thank you, Joy, for that, because it's so true. Redbird love. I would love to do a I would love to write a poem about wood ducks. Wood ducks. Is that your wonderful husband, Vicky? Are you and your husband a redbird couple? Um, I wasn't prepared for this, but in my video, I'm making a video about my rare disease called coccidioidomycosis that I'm being treated for right now. And I texted one of my friends this morning after I went to the doctor. I was sitting outside the doctor's office, literally sitting on one of the benches, and I was just thinking about my options. I don't know if any of y'all do this, but I was by myself. And when you're by yourself for all of this stuff, your brain kind of, or my brain kind of just goes all over the place. And so I texted a couple of my friends to tell them what was going on. And my friend wrote back with the most brilliant response that I've ever read. It was so true and right, and not a speck of toxic positivity, not a speck of anything but I hear you. I understand it's tough. You've been through a lot. And I wrote back, oh my gosh, best answer ever. I think I'm going to actually include that in my video because it was such a great example of emotional intelligence and seeing and hearing someone else. It was great. Okay, it's nice to see y'all greeting each other. That's wonderful. Vicky, I love that you and your husband are like the red bird love. That's amazing. Life goals. Life goals. All right. So guess what? I've been here for longer than my allotted time that I give to myself. I would, if you haven't liked this video, you have a second or two to like it now. I think probably all the people here probably already have. Um, I also want to say one more time, we'll be journaling together starting Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern time. If you'd like to come by, you don't have to come all 5 nights. Every night has a different theme. They're all scheduled. You can see you can see the themes, see the links in my on my schedule. I need to put that schedule in a community post so y'all know what's going on. There's no sign up, no registration necessary, totally free. Um, and so I hope to see some of you there. Thank you, Catherine. It was a joy. Thank you, Em. I'm so glad you came by. It is always a joy for me to set aside some time every week to read poetry because sometimes even if I don't organize and if I'm not intentional, I won't get to the poetry like I like to. Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, I have to be reminded to hit the like button too, Ninja. No worries at all. You have a great day too, CL. It's always a pleasure. Take good care and we'll see you again next time. Bye now.